Patrick is not just an idiot. Let me go ahead and rewind. We all know patrickstar, the mustard to SpongeBob's ketchup, the pink prince of the profound. But what lies beneath the surface? What questions does he make us ponder? What does he hide from his friends and family? So let's just take a bite of this chocolate muffin, chooms, and finally learn just who Patrick is underneath the surface. So patrickstar actually made his first appearance in the very first Sponge King episode on May 1st, 1999, Hope Wanted. And he very well is responsible for him even getting the job. That's right, my son was pretty nervous, and you know what, the epitome of a best friend shows up and reassures him, yo SpongeBob, you're him. Now that's a homie. So who is Patrick Star? Well, to me, he ultimately personifies freedom and the darker sides of it. I know, kinda big and lavish, but just like how I said Squidward personifies struggle and pride, Patrick represents the very idea of freedom. To be honest, let's just look at him. He lives outside of society's normalcy. He lives under a rock. He lives like a kid. He does whatever he wants and doesn't really strive for money or fame. He is content with being loyal and a best friend to everyone. And he lives with distinct priorities, his friends, along with pretty much no other purpose besides being a friend. And it's with these ideas, his priorities and responsibility and purpose, that he makes us ask three distinct questions about freedom. Is it freedom or loneliness? What is freedom without responsibility? And finally, what is freedom without purpose? Let me begin with the former. Is it freedom or loneliness? And how does an excess of freedom and a carefree life jeopardize Patrick's priorities? Charles Bukowski quoted this, "And when nobody wakes you up in the morning, and when nobody waits for you at night, and when you could do whatever you want, what do you call it? Freedom or loneliness?" Charles Bukowski. This is first delved into in the season 4 episode Patrick's Smart Plans. But not to make this video too long, let me inform you of the basics. Patrick falls and busts his dome, SpongeBob places a brain rock on top of his head, Patrick gets really smart, he loses some friends, he has an existential crisis, he voluntarily becomes dumb again for the sake of his friends. It's kinda reminiscent of the story Flowers for Algernon, a short story by Daniel Keyes, in which a man who struggled with his whole life and after gaining intelligence, due to a miracle drug, whatever, starts to look at life differently and in ways he didn't like. He yearned for his previous self, and in the end, well, ultimately it's a story about living with a disability, but this episode does take some pretty important cliff notes with it. Hey, let me fix up my hair. Now, Patrick has always been free to live his life, and after gaining some smarts, it seemed like he was able to traverse the world well better. But as time passed, he didn't like what he saw. His priorities changed, he valued the arts and scientific discovery over his friends until he was left completely alone. And he was left wondering what had changed. So in this episode, he answered the previous question, and the answer was he was lonely. Yes, he had obtained newfound freedom, more than he was used to, but it changed his priorities. Honestly, this perfectly represents the delicate balance of freedom and loneliness that people may find in their life. Another example of freedom jeopardizing his priorities is in the episode Rule of Dumb. Now, in Rule of Dumb, in it, Patrick finds out he's royalty and doesn't really handle the responsibility well. In fact, he has the freedom to do what he wants when he wants it, a little bit more than usual. He goes around ordering people, and you know, it is entertaining seeing him literally steal candy from children, and well, from a baby. But yet again, he faces a change in himself he doesn't like. Literally, he starts to power trip and hallucinate in a mirror, even yelling at SpongeBob and threatened to put Bikini Bottom in a prison. And once he's all alone with no one's answer his demands, he starts, well, reflecting. In the end, he relinquished the crown and admits he wasn't ready. In the end, he chooses his old life with seemingly less freedom. He chooses being nice, and he, well, chooses his friends yet again. So ultimately, freedom can look lonely and change priorities. So in the episode Rule of Thumb, responsibility is a key lesson to learn from Patrick's lack of restraint. Speaking of responsibility, so it's no secret Patrick is lazy and really not responsible, and it really shows when he's given any type of responsibility, like a job. In the episode Pat for Pat and Big Pink Loser, Patrick is given a job, but what does this have to do with the question? Well, in Big Pink Loser, Patrick doesn't have any awards, and after seeing SpongeBob get more rewards than Mad Max in 2015, he freaks out, so SpongeBob, being a homie, gets him a job at the Krusty Crew. And...
is this the Krusty Krab?
No! This is Patrick!
So Patrick in the end gets an award. Big whoop. But this episode showcases an important fact about Patrick most people don't actually think about: insecurity. Now, science says we are who our next 3 friends are, so it makes sense that Patrick feels insecure or falling behind when it comes to not having a job or an award. Patrick is like a big kid, written like that lately at least. I remember when he was just a zen and, well, yeah, dumb, but well-meaning, not an oversized baby. That aside, his carefree lifestyle ends up showing a negative consequence: irresponsibility. Since Patrick hasn't been challenged, like with a job or Olympic challenge or a baby, he's grown kinda complacent or lazy. In No Hat for Pat, we explore how Patrick operates once he does finally get a job he's good at, which is falling. In this episode, Patrick is left to be bored because SpongeBob needs to go to work. Now he blames this on the hat, and now strives to get one because he is now feeling left behind. Same as the last episode, but in this one, his insecurity and fear is a little bit more acute, and we see it drive Patrick to keep an abusive job under a crustacean hell-bent on manipulating and extorting the value of Patrick's fall, literally. Now SpongeBob sees that Patrick still wants to work despite being bruised and, well, cooked. Who jumped my boy? But he lays it out perfectly in this scene.
No! Please, don't tell Mr. Krabs! You don't understand. For years, people have been telling me, you're no good. Now I'm good! I have a hat to prove it! I don't want to go back to being no hat Patrick! No!
Okay, buddy.
He wants to be someone, like his friends, even with the pain. Now we see the consequences and psychological damage of feeling inadequate, left behind, because of his careless and carefree lifestyle. A bucket of poisonous sea urchins. In conclusion, his lack of responsibility in his life answers this question: what does freedom look like without responsibility? For Patrick, it looks like a perpetual unemployment and a bad case of insecurity, but it can be remedied with purpose. Now, with a lack of responsibility and freedom to do what he wants, Patrick also struggles internally with purpose. In the episode Patrick Man, we're introduced to Patrick, bored, and repeatedly asking,
I gotta figure out what to do with my life.
a little heavier than his usual dialogue, but hey, I'm welcome to it. Anyways, Patrick lands on being a superhero, and he actually gets serious and makes a costume and everything. And we see the birth of Patrick Man. And when given a purpose, this lazy starfish actually goes out and helps mostly. And please emphasize on the mostly. Honestly, it's very different than other episodes where he's just kind of useless and dumb. Now he's sort of helpful and is dumb. So Patrick starts getting overboard with this new feeling of purpose and otherwise a job he can stand. Things are actually going very smoothly, and he even got the cops on his side. And in the end, he even defeats the dirty bubble. So what is purpose in the face of freedom? It's necessary. Patrick was lost and bored with his life, finally looked for something constructive to do. He could even be considered to be good at it. He retires in the end, but ultimately I think he found a new purpose in being helpful every now and again. Honestly, his problem with purpose can be seen as an imbalance of freedom and goals in his life. I mean, what's the point of living your life and doing almost anything you want without some clear goal or idea of what you want to do in life? If you couldn't tell before, Patrick's problems with freedom stem from not being able to balance freedom with priorities, restraint, responsibilities, and purpose. He loses friends, becomes insecure, and well bored without those important aspects of freedom. So in the end, Patrick is a loyal starfish and a best friend to most. So despite his flaws and struggle with imbalance of freedom in his life, he's him. Thank you all for watching to the end, and thank you so much for the support on the first video I uploaded to this channel, the 2 episodes that made Squidward. 61 subs at the time of this recording for my first video. Hey, Mr. Beast, look out. But not kidding aside, I really do love the support I got. It's insane, at least to me. I know to a lot of people it doesn't look like a lot, and you know what, I guess it's technically not, but to me, it feels great. Like in my actual life, I don't really have a lot of like help or support on my YouTube channel from like other people in my life. So 61 people right now to me kind of looks nice. Anyway, look out for my next video talking about SpongeBob himself, like a character analysis. Hopefully it will be uploaded faster than it was for this video. I know 2 weeks. It really shouldn't have taken me 2 weeks, but I got college and some other stuff. So I hope that this next video will be out by next Saturday, or at the latest the Wednesday after next Saturday. So I'm the 27th or something. So stay tuned for more character analysis, video essay type videos. I also have some other SpongeBob related type of content, basically where I make like a paddy wagon. So sub if you want to see that. Let me know in the comments who you want to see me analyze, or just comment down if you want me to leave YouTube altogether. Either or, I would love to see the comments. Yeah, thank y'all for the support. Y'all have a nice one.